How everyone doing? I'd like to take the time to welcome you to another Morning Glory Apostolic Prophetic Center video. I am your host, Diedrich Hubbard, and today we're going to talk about it's all up to you. It's all up to you. So going into this season where we've been talking about intentional commitment, many of us have often failed in following God's instructions, following Holy Spirit leading, as well as following sound advice. We do this not because we want to, we do it because we don't want to know ourselves. A lot of time when God begins to deal with us, he does it by touching things that we consider important to us. He does it by allowing us to lose what we have gained. One of the prophetic words, even last year, was, are you willing to lose what God gave you in order for him to give you what he wants you to have? And some of us passing this test and most of us not. But come February, even starting now, we're going into a season where you got to prove what you done learned. You got to prove that you want this relationship with God. You got to prove that you want to minister for God. You got to prove that you want this kingdom. And if you can't prove that you want God, it doesn't mean God going to forsake you, but it does mean that you don't want to grow. And if you don't want to grow, then there's no intentional commitment for us to go in and follow. Ephesians 5 and 6 says, let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things, the wrath of God comes upon the son of disobedience. See, a lot of y'all like to play stupid, confused, upset, like you don't know what's going on. Those are what we call empty words. Because God sees, understands, and knows all. So we try now to think that we can mislead God. And for many of you, because God knows that what you're trying to do, that's why he brings wrath upon you. Ephesians 2 and 2 said, in which you formerly walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, of the spirit that is now working in the sons of disobedience. A lot of you haven't changed your walk. You haven't changed your talk. You haven't changed your dress. You haven't changed your emotions. But you call yourself a child of God. You call yourself a disciple. You call yourself a leader. And guess what? Ain't nothing changed about you. So it's all up to you in the decisions you make. Notice, I don't tell you if you're right or wrong no more. I let you do what you want to do. See, everybody, I can't be nobody's crutch. I can't be the one you call when you want to interpret a dream. I can't be the one to call when you need advice, when you need wisdom, when you need confirmation. The big dog upstairs. Because what many of you got to understand, the same thing that you might lean on me on, You got to be that to somebody else. So you gotta grow. You gotta grow. Romans 5 and 19, for as through the one man disobedience, the many were made sinners, even so the obedience of the one that many will be made righteous. Don't you know when you are connected to people and you do wrong and they cover for you, they accept what you're doing, don't you know, don't you know you make them sinners too? We talked the other day about when Jesus did whatever he did and left, and the disciples had all that power, and Peter said, I go a fishing. What did the disciples say? We go into. We talked about when David counted the people and God had to punish David, and God punished everybody around David. You got to know your walk in God is serious in this season. That's why I say it's intentional. I ain't got time for nobody stuck on stupid. I ain't got time for nobody growing. I ain't got time for you not supporting. I ain't got time for I ain't got it. I ain't got time for what you doing. We got work to do. So if I say I ain't got time, guess who telling me that? He said we ain't got time no more. You either want God or you don't. Ain't no in between. See what's wrong? A lot of you been in that in between. Maybe because you've been around the wrong people, learned from the wrong people, whatever. But I'm in that I ain't got time for this season. I don't know whether I be in reality or faith from one minute to next. First Samuel 15 and 23, for rebellion is as the sin of divination, and insubordination is as iniquity and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has also rejected you for being king. See, the reason a lot of you can't get where you at in God is because you rebellious in God. You insubordinate. God tell you don't help people, y'all help them anyway. Not only do you help them, you sacrifice to help them. Will you do the same for God? Of course you won't. Too many have become God in their own eyes. That's what he was telling me this morning. You sitting around here, some of you sitting around here waiting on God to change people's mind or show people they doing wrong and or do that. But watch this. That 2 Corinthians 10 and 6 got you in a chokehold. And we are ready to punish all disobedience whenever your obedience is complete. You want God to do something for you, but you ain't doing that for God. You ain't following his instructions. You ain't following his commandments. You ain't following his way of life. Bring my husband back. Bring my wife back. God, I need to win the lottery. Sit down. What God done told you to do that you ain't did? Why you think your prayers ain't getting answered? Titus 3 and 3 says, for we also once were foolish ourselves, disobedient, deceived, enslaved to various lusts and pleasures, spending our life in malice and envy, hating one another. I used to be like y'all. I was dumb, stuck on stupid, disobedient, deceived by women and people and friends, enslaved to that money, to that coochie, to different women. You ain't doing that, ain't nobody did. but you can come overcome it. I used to envy people. What them done Levi jean suits back in the day was a thing. Huh? You got you a good jean outfit, boy, and you go in that club with that fresh white tee or black tee, that gold hanging. Oh, you pulling something. You pulling something. You pulling something. Boy, I remember me and Buddy Derrick was together. And these girls, they wanted to go to the club to dance. They were strippers. We wanted that coot so bad. Me and Derrick, we stayed there with the baby while they went out to the club to dance, because we know when they came back, we were just gonna tear that thing up. Boy, some dude knocking on the door, called the girl. I know you in there. She went in there with just me and him. I done ducked down, you know, and they knocking all on the windows. And then, boy, we used to have fun. Then I peeped. It looked like they left. Man, I hopped in my car. I went home. I called Derek the next day. He said, yeah, man, she came in there. He said, I tore that thing up. Now I'm mad because I couldn't get mine, but shoot, I wanted my life more than that coochie at that time. I'm talking, we did anything. Enslaved. Keeping another woman child just because you want some coochie. What you doing for a piece of coochie? Matthew 15:3 says, and he answered and said to them, why do you yourself transgress the commandment of God for the sake of your tradition? Why y'all still celebrate Christmas knowing it ain't no such thing as Christmas? Why you still got to have the latest styles and be friends with the world, and the word said don't be a friend? See, because the church don't change, the world don't see no change, because the church just like the world. It just like the world. Romans 11:30 says, for just as you were once disobedient to God, but now have been shown mercy because of their disobedience. You want God to show you mercy, but you continually defy God. You continue to defy God. Better get right. What the old folks say, you better get right, church, so y'all can go home. Romans 4:15 said, for the law brings about wrath, but where there is no law, there also is no violation. See, if you don't believe in God, that means when you do stuff wrong, you don't believe it's wrong. So you're doing what's wrong, thinking it's right, because you trying to tell God, I ain't know I was wrong, but you know you was right by doing wrong. First Peter, who once were disobedient with the patience of God, kept waiting in the days of Noah during the construction of ark, in a which a few, that is, 8 persons, who were brought safely through the water. God patience running thin because y'all stuck on stupid. Stop playing with God. We're just playing with God. Titus 1:16 said, they profess to know God, but by their deeds they deny him, being detestable and disobedient and worthless for any good deed. When the last time you did something for God? When can God count on you to do something for him? No, he can't. You worthless. But you say you know God. Well, what have you done for him? Name 5 things. You can't. Some of you can't even name 2. You know why? Because it's all about you. What we're ready now? It's all about who was that? That Easy eating them? Or was that Tupac? Yeah, that was Tupac. How you know God but worthless to God? By their deeds they deny him. I'm waiting. Now let's look at it like this. I'm 54 now. 54. Out of 54 years, I know most of the stuff that I did for God. Did for him. Now, if you 54 and under and I said did for God. I ain't said church, I ain't said man. If you can't name something you did for God, look at the mercy and grace God gave you. You 50 some years ain't did nothing for God. He still been keeping you alive. Still been breathing. Now we may have a little trials and tribulations, but we still here. The reason God kind of hard on some of you is because God's been taking care. You overdue. You It's sad when you make yourself, you make people, you make places, you make things more important than God. Mm-hmm. First Kings 20. Then he said to him, because you have not listened to the voice of the Lord, behold, as soon as you have departed from me, a lion will kill you. And as soon as he departed from him, a lion found him and killed him. Y'all, you know that's self-explanatory, don't you? Y'all know what that means, don't you? Do I need to spell it out? Deuteronomy, I'm going to give you a way out. Deuteronomy 28 and 15. But it shall come about if you do not obey the Lord your God to observe to do all his commandment and his statute, with which I charge you today, that all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. You got to the end of the day. The end of the day, God, what must I do to make it right? The end of the day, or everything that's been holding back, it got to overtake you. Because when you look at your life and you say you're following God, but you're not growing in God, how is your life in God? See, how you 54 years old and you still don't hear the voice of God. You still not in the kingdom. You still don't support God's kingdom. You still don't help, I guess, financially. You still don't have revelation of the word. What have you been doing for 54 years? You just been sitting there taking the grace and mercy of God for granted. Ain't no way that you 54 and God forbid, back in them days, they made us go to church. We got old, we didn't go to church. Then we went in and out. Then we went back in, and when we stuck in here this time, you didn't learn from a child till an adult. Even my son, I know I talk about it. I just be joking. The boy is old, barely come out the house. But even he can give me a revelation. He got it. He don't care no sports. Now he love them Jordans and shoes. You know that he like that. He listen to his rap music. He gonna smoke his cigarette. But he in the house. Y'all get to hear Brother Hubbard on live. He in the house by himself. He might go on YouTube, might look at one of Dad's video, but he like some girl. I don't follow him for who he like. I don't care who he listen to, as long as he's growing. So how can some of y'all sit? What I been 28 years? How many years you follow me and you ain't growing? You do know, I know you ain't growing. You do know if I know you growing. I just don't say that to you because the relationship that God has to have with you, but we take account, you ain't growing. You didn't take it serious. And now that it's time to take it serious, you don't know what to do because you should have been taking it serious. Uh-huh. Exodus 21. People in trouble, you know how that go. Your God before him and obey his voice. Do not be rebellious toward him, for he will not pardon your transgression since my name is in him. You see how I have to do these videos, some Texas, got to answer them. We ain't got time for people who just sit around and stuck on stupid. People out here need to be saved. And we can't be saved trying to teach people who don't want to be taught. And to whom, Hebrews 3 and 18, and to whom did he swear that they would not enter his rest, but to those who were disobedient. See, I done told you, old grandma used to say, a hard head make a soft behind. You see, some of you disobedient, you provoke God to wrath. You provoke him. How do you provoke God to wrath? Because he has continuously told you the same thing over and over again. You do what you want to do. Psalms 107:17 says, fools, because of their rebellious ways and because of their iniquity, were afflicted. Whatever happened to you, you brought it on yourself. You got to come back to God in order to stand his purpose and plan for your life. Now watch this. What's God's purpose and plan for your life? How long you been following God? So if you've been following God 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and you don't know your purpose and your plan for God, you never been in a place where a relationship with God was established. Because ain't nowhere in the world I go through all that and God didn't tell me what my purpose and my plan. So my purpose was to teach how I teach. My plan was for me to be right here where I'm at this date, in this time, and some of you need to listen to me. Not all of you. So watch this. Even if I made the wrong choice and not in the spot God want me to be, I still made the right choice because I'm still doing what I want me to do. It's dangerous to be in the wrong place with the wrong choice. But you can be in the wrong place and make the right choice. That's just like going over this good house. I think I'm gonna get me a little cooch. And I walk in that house and I see that house nasty. Back then we used to have them beepers. Oh, somebody beat me. I'll be back. I ain't coming back. This house nasty. But now, y'all know how we is. Shame the devil and tell the truth. Sometimes if you drove too far, you had to hold your nose and go at it. And go at it. You ever, you ever pulled a condom off and that thing, and she stunk so bad, the condom was stinking. Man, we did some dumb stuff bad for a piece of tail. I mean, boy, you had the whole smell you. God, I was a dummy. Woo! Boy, listen here. I got water coming to my eyes now, boy. Woo! That was some dumb stuff. Now I got to laugh at myself. Let me find me something to eat.